Another feminist talking about equality, but this approach is different. And guess what? The root cause are not men. Because the real issue is women seeing other women as enemies instead of allies. According to the Global Gender Gap Report, it will still take us more than 135 years to reach worldwide equality, a massive time frame where we sacrifice resources and talents. And even though I would love to experience equal opportunities, that won't happen. So instead, I'll fight for it. Today, I'd like to present you a possible solution to tackle this challenge: female networks. Just to clarify, this is not another man-bashing speech. I even have one male friend myself and truly cherish men. Jokes aside, the original issue lies deeper. Women, we are brought up to compare ourselves and compete with each other. I'm sure every woman can identify with that. As a direct consequence, we fight instead of supporting one another at school, work, and even within our own families. That's not only sad, but highly inefficient. Especially because we waste so much energy and potential. Women statistically make more sustainable and social choices, and it's even proven that they create businesses which are more successful in the long run. Imagine all the power we hold without even realizing. Women, we share the same challenges and the same stories. So this is not just a structural problem, it's cultural. But how can we change this narrative? We have to rewrite it. I'll make a start. Growing up, this world was heaven and hell. I faced many hardships women all over the world do. 13 years of domestic violence, the early death of a parent, and rape. That's what every third woman on this planet goes through. My story is her story. It was the other women around me who supported my healing. I remember when I was 11 years old and visited a women's shelter for the first time. Well, it wasn't just a brief visit, but more like a 3-month asylum. I experienced more than 30 women and children living under the same roof, healing together. I also learned, as the comedian Hannah Gatsby said, that nothing is stronger than a broken woman who has rebuilt herself. For the last 10 years, the topic of female communities has deeply fascinated me. I started my own network called Alva, which means both elf and army. The reason, therefore, was simple. I had moved to a different country, felt terribly lonely, and discovered women's circles. What I experienced there was pure bliss. I remember a tea ceremony where you all shared our current struggles and just held space for each other. And I guess my English grammar was right. Tea is truly always the solution. So I wanted to experience the same kind of connection back home in Switzerland. But before constructing a network, I asked myself these 3 questions. Why are there so few female networks? What could they achieve? And how do I build such a network? To answer the first question about why there are so few female networks, let's take a look at history. The military, sports, and business world have been built by men. They're typical old boys networks, a very natural phenomenon. Humans prefer to be with people who are similar to them. It makes communication and cooperation easier. Men realized early on that they were stronger together. But what were women doing all this time? They were busy taking care of their homes, families, and their own safety. If we continue diving into the past, we can see that there were times when women did come together to build structured, successful networks. Mostly, it was in times of crisis to help others. Whether it was the nurses, nuns, or Trümmerfrauen, the women who rebuilt Germany after the Second World War, they came together to take care of the community. Funnily enough, the German word for both nurses and nuns is Schwester. It means sister. I grew up with brothers, so I never had the feeling that I needed to compete with other girls. But I learned pretty quickly that others feel differently. To many, I am a walking threat. Good looking, absolutely hilarious. Even my farts smell of roses. Women, most of them hate me before I even open my mouth. But if we want to tackle the challenge of inequality, we have to come together. Of course there are so few female networks. Too often we judge each other instead of celebrating our differences. Another woman's talent, beauty or strength is not the absence of your own. The root of insecurity is the feeling of not being enough. Well, maybe we aren't. Maybe none of us is 100% perfect, and that's why we are here, to complete each other. Women, it's time to redefine sisterhood. Now, let's answer the second question. What can female networks achieve? As a journalist, I worked on more than 40 projects regarding equality and sustainability. One of those projects was helping to organize the Frauenstreik in 2019. It was Switzerland's biggest demonstration ever. On July 14th, the streets were filled with thousands of women. We came together to fight for our rights. Those same organizations and female networks achieved a lot in the past. Equal voting rights 50 years ago. To be able to work without your husband's permission 45 years ago. Rape as a criminal offence in a marriage 15 years ago. Switzerland is one of the most developed countries, and still we have a long way to go. It's even worse in most other places. 135 years until we reach basic human rights for everybody. Many people will suffer until then. Is that fair? Men understood a long time ago that they couldn't win a war alone. So women, come together. Create or join a network. There are many ways to take action. Community gardens, co-raising children, becoming politically active to support local projects, or build an eco-friendly business. My name is Rachel Hill, and it's my greatest wish to see women all over the world unite, empower each other. May we experience a future full of support, empathy, and harmonious growth for our children, the communities, and ourselves. So before we're done, here's an easy guideline to answer the third question on how to build such a network. First of all, the network needs a purpose. Do you want to change the law, clean up the local beach? Define a goal. Then implement a simple structure. Who takes on which role? Next, you have to organize regular meetups. Also, you want engaged members, so define some sort of commitment. What is also important is a reward. People invest their time and energy. It doesn't have to be financial. A nice personal message and thank you the next day are fine. Ultimately, the network should make you feel good, boost connection, and hopefully create something meaningful. Most importantly is the foundation of the network, trust and understanding. Let go of judgment and open your heart. See the other woman as a direct reflection of yourself. My mission is to remind you of the power we all hold as a collective. If I can turn my biggest weakness, being born as a girl, into my biggest strength, then so can you. If I can turn my vulnerability into my most precious asset, then so can you. As long as there is hope, everything is possible. Women, co-create the future you envision. We need each other and the world needs us. I vow to take an active stand, empower others and embrace diversity. Now's the time for us to rise. Together we can make this world our heaven. Sisters, let's act.